We're at Kanaha Pond. That's the sound of the rare Hawaiian Stilt Bird in its native habitat here on Maui. That is a photograph of the rare black-necked Hawaiian Stilt Bird. Aloha! Welcome to Michael's Hawaii. I'm Michael Merrill, your host, and we are here on Maui today at Kanaha Pond. This is in Kahului, and even though Kahului is the largest town or city on Maui, surprisingly enough, there is a national wildlife refuge right here. All these hundreds and hundreds of acres of marshland are the home of 6 very rare waterbirds. Several of them were basically scheduled to go extinct about 60 years ago. But far-sighted individuals decided to save the Kanaha Pond marshland, and because of it, the stilt bird that you just saw is making a comeback after reaching such a low level of breeding adults. But in 2014, there were less than 2,000 of them remaining in the whole state, and most of them live here on Maui. So we are here today to appreciate the waterbirds of Hawaii, especially the few species that have made a comeback in an amazing way thanks to a few places like this throughout the state of Hawaii that have allowed them to actually thrive finally after coming so close to extinction. So, join me now as we appreciate the waterbirds of Maui at Kanaha Pond. So, this is going to be fun and we're going to learn a lot. So, follow me. Someone lost a feather. And it looks to me like it belongs to a Hawaiian goose, a nene. There are a lot of nene droppings around where I found it at. Aha. So this is provided by the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, the Hawaii Ecotourism Association, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Hawaii Tourism Authority, and the Wildlife Society Hawaii chapter. There's one right there. A Hawaiian Stilt Bird. Flying circles around me. It's amazing. Let me keep up. Can I keep up? I don't know. That was nice. There's their picture right there, provided by the Forestry and Wildlife Division. And this tells about wetland birds. And it's very informative. It's very general, but at the same time, I'm going to refer to it over and over again while we visit Kanaha Pond, plus some other things that I've learned by reading some research on and looking at some books. So, and things that I knew from when I used anyway already. So, this is great, and this is what we want, and we're very grateful to the Forestry and Wildlife for putting this here. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry my zoom only goes this close. We don't want to disturb them anyway. There's a stilt bird wading through the salt ponds and marshes, those few that remain in the Hawaiian Islands. This one on Maui, preserved just for them. Pretty amazing. If it wasn't for the preservation of this pond and one on the other side of Maui's isthmus, they most assuredly would not have made it. So glad that they did. Here's one hunting for fish, right in the center of the screen. And a heron behind it. It is just so pleasing to see these Hawaiian stilt birds thriving here at Kanaha Pond. so wonderful that these birds have been able to survive. And their population is growing again. The rare Hawaiian Stilt Bird on the comeback. On the rebound on Maui. I love it. Isn't it wonderful? Watch as these fish dart away. The abundance of small fish in this brackish water estuary feeds these birds. See them all? Here's another aspect of why this preserve is so successful in bringing back these species. They're stabilizing their numbers and bringing them back. No entry beyond this point is a very important aspect because you don't want people walking around out here traipsing through the habitat. You could do all kinds of damage that you wouldn't even know about. So I am very happy to see signs like this that keep us all on the pathway. And this is the part where we're supposed to go because we're just here to observe. So I called that the gazebo a little while ago. Let's get closer. Up ahead is one of the rarest sites in this refuge that you will ever see, and I'm going to approach very close, carefully, so we don't scare these Hawaiian geese, very rare Hawaiian geese down this low from Haleakala. Let me get closer. I'm being careful, I don't want to scare them. They have two goslings with them, little babies. Oh, they look like they're about a month old now. Let me get closer. Oh, they're beginning to get wary. But that's okay. I just want to get as close as possible. This is a wildlife refuge and we're not allowed to disturb the breeding birds especially and their babies. These are rare Hawaiian geese, almost extinct 60 years ago, making a comeback also, just like the Hawaiian stilts. They're so beautiful. They were hunted almost to extinction throughout the 19th century and all the way through even up to World War II. And then the federal government said stop, leave them alone, and places like this and the top of Haleakala Crater where they come from, and nesting down here is good for them in the wildlife refuge here. Isn't this amazing? Look at them. The rare Hawaiian geese on Maui with their two little goslings living their life here under the protection of the National Wildlife Reserve in Kahului, Maui in the state of Hawaii. Isn't this amazing? I'm so privileged to be able to see this. If you can imagine, they got down to such a low, I have to look, but it was less than 200 individuals 60 or 70 years ago. And they were so close to going extinct. And here's proof they're making a comeback. The rare nene, the nene Hawaiian goose. It's called nene in Hawaiian. So as the Nene Hawaiian geese slowly get reestablished here on Maui, there's a new population on the island of Kauai that is growing. The big island of Hawaii has their Nene geese. And you can see this little family of two goslings and a mommy and a daddy are very happily living their lives here on the bird refuge at Kanaha Pond. And this is just a wonderful sight, isn't it? I just love it. So I'm going to refer back to this wonderful information chart that was placed here by the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, just to orient everybody as to what this is and why we're here. So it says that naturally occurring freshwater marshes, ponds, and other wetlands may have always been in short supply in the Hawaiian Islands. Wetlands such as fish ponds and taro fields were created by the early Hawaiians, and wetland birds utilized these habitats. But in recent history, many wetlands were filled in for development, land development, or degraded by agricultural practices. Many remaining wetlands are vulnerable to water diversions, pollution, and invasive species. So today, 5 native waterbirds breed on most of the main Hawaiian islands. They are the Hawaiian coot, the black-necked Hawaiian stilt, the Hawaiian duck, the common moorhen, and these are in serious trouble and have been listed as endangered. These waterbirds nest on the ground, making them vulnerable to introduced predators such as mongoose, dogs, cats, and rats. And oh wow, isn't this neat? Look at all these black-necked Hawaiian stilts performing for us out here. We'll just keep the camera on them till as I finish. The tree-nesting black-crowned night heron is holding its own. A number of waterfowl and shorebirds winter over in Hawaii or pass through on their annual migrations. The best known and most commonly seen in grassy fields is the Pacific golden plover. Individual birds return to the same areas every year. Along the shoreline, ruddy turnstones, wandering tattlers, and sanderlings are a common winter sight. So there's the black-crowned night heron, and there is the Pacific golden plover, and then there's a bristle-thighed curlew, and all these birds utilize Kanaha Pond for feeding, for nesting, for rearing their young, and the pond itself is teeming with juvenile fish, and they're so plentiful because there are no predator fish in this brackish water estuary because it's cut off from the open ocean. So I just wanted you to see the beauty of this natural ecosystem here that has been preserved by the foresight of a lot of individuals as far back as 70 years ago.
for me to stand here and you to see these beautiful birds in their recovery from almost extinction 60 years ago, someone had to decide 70 years ago that they were not going to fill in this marsh and build houses on it. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity for these birds and for us to see Hawaii's ecosystems preserved. So follow me, let's go find some more birds.
Here's another one of the little birds that love it here. It reminds you of a Hawaiian stilt, shorter legs. You see them all the way up Haleakala in people's front yards. And as you hear the Hawaiian stilts in the background, I'm looking at the chart here that the National Division of Forestry and Wildlife provides. And that bird I just showed you, it says, arriving in August in its dull winter plumage, the Pacific golden plover molts into its spectacular breeding plumage just before returning to Alaska to breed in May. So I think I've identified it right. So we just looked at a golden plover. Every day as it approaches 10 a.m., the trade winds begin to blow, and as you can see, we've been here a few hours now and the water is no longer a mirror, perfectly still place. The day is progressing. Here's a 360-degree view of the wetland birds' home, the National Wildlife Refuge here on Maui. And that is the waste treatment plant, the sewage waste treatment plant in the distance. And I'll tell you in a little while exactly why that, believe it or not, is a very good thing that it is located there. Let's walk out to the gazebo that's maintained by the Boy Scouts. So gazebo's inaccurate. This is what you would call an observation shack. It's placed here so that we can be as close to viewing the animals as possible without disturbing them. So I wanted you to see that here's the plaque, and there's my shadow there. This plaque says Kanaha Pond has been designated a registered natural landmark under the provisions of the Historic Sites Act of August 21st, 1955. This site poses exceptional value in illustrating the natural history of the United States. Placed here in 1971, this marker by the U.S. Department of the Interior National Park Service. It's been preserving these bird species since 1955. 61 years ago, at least 6 of them were scheduled to be extinct by now. I just wanted you to note that. Very important. Inside the observation shack, it says that Troop 49 has spent endless hours in restoring our facilities. Please help us protect our facilities against property damage. Thanks. Well, we thank Troop 49. Apparently, semi-annually, they will come and pick up trash and paint out the graffiti and things like that. And I think that's really wonderful of a Boy Scout troop to do that. So mahalo, Troop 49, for all your work, helping preserve Kanaha Pond for the visitors. So it's time for me to share with you the real connection between these beautiful black Hawaiian Stilt Birds that you can see in the pond here, and the wastewater treatment plant in the distance, the connection that they both have. And it's a good one. It's a wonderful little partnership, and it keeps this salt marsh healthy. And so let's go visit that now. Well, we're here on I think this is the northwest boundary of the Kanaha Pond Wildlife Sanctuary, and you can see behind me the Kahului water reclamation facility. And I wanted you to know how wonderful and symbiotic the relationship is between this waste treatment plant and the wildlife refuge across the street. This refuge depends on fresh water flowing into it daily. If enough fresh water doesn't flow into it daily, the salinity will be too high, and the balance of the ecosystem there that creates all the wonderful fish and all the wonderful conditions for these rare birds to thrive would not exist. So what people don't realize is that thousands of gallons daily of fresh reclaimed water is pumped back into this estuary. And this is a wonderful thing. It's a tertiary process, so this is very clean water. It's not clean enough for human consumption, but it's definitely clean enough to be put back into the environment for the animals and wildlife to use. And it maintains the balance here at this pond. So I just wanted you to know that we're very grateful to the waste treatment plant for doing this, because without it, this literally would have dried up a long time ago. So here we go. Let's go look for some more birds and wrap this up. I'm having fun. I hope you are too. Ready? Follow me. A brackish water estuary like this is just full of young fish. Look at all these fish. It's a nursery. It's protected from the predator fish. And there's little baby fish here. I don't know if you can see. Little baby fish all over the place. And that is what makes an estuary the perfect feeding ground for wading birds like these. And there they are, all getting excited, the stilt birds again. That looks like a Hawaiian heron. Yes, I believe it is. Well, anyway, we'll go check the chart and see who we just found. He's beautiful, isn't he? Wow, he's got a top notch too. Whoa, he got one. So we just witnessed the black-crowned night heron, auku'u, the Hawaiian name, and we saw it catch a fish. And it is found throughout all of the main Hawaiian islands and hunts in fresh and salt water. And we watched him hunt, and we watched him catch one. Amazing. Wasn't that fun? Oh, I loved it. Let's go find more. Come on, follow me. We're away from the Kanaha Pond Sanctuary at the moment. And I just wanted to show you that the birds do leave the sanctuary. Here's a Hawaiian heron fishing in a pond nearby, about a half a block away from the north boundary of Kanaha Pond. Hawaiian herons are expert fishermen. Oh my gosh, it was too big, he let it go. Interesting. Amazing. There's one that's the right size. That's amazing. This is the most patient bird alive. This is a cattle egret. They love to fly actually quite long distances away from the wildlife refuge, and they find lots of feeding on the tops of hedges, in the grassy areas, even in people's yards. And they're the famous ones that you see on the tops, on the backs of cattle. They were brought here in 1959 from Florida in hopes that they would help control some of the insect pests. And they're quite established, as you can see. And they're very wary. It's hard to get close to them. Right there are two of the rare Hawaiian ducks. They're in Hawaiian koloa, and they are in serious trouble, and they have been listed as endangered. And it's so wonderful that you can see Hawaiian ducks, koloa. I love it. Wow, wasn't this really fun exploring the National Wildlife Refuge here at Kanaha Pond on Maui? And I just wanted to thank you for coming today. We saw saw 3, and as you can see behind me, actually 4. 3 of the rarest birds in the state. The Hawaiian Stilt Bird right behind me. We saw a Hawaiian goose family, and we saw Hawaiian ducks. Isn't it amazing? So I want to tell you how much fun I had creating this first Hawaiian wildlife special, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So thank you again for joining me today here on Michael's Hawaii, and I want to say aloha, mahalo, and we'll see you real soon. Aloha nui loa from Michael in Hawaii. Hawaiian herons are expert fishermen. Oh my gosh, it was too big, he let it go. Interesting. Amazing. Michael's Hawaii is filmed entirely on location in the Hawaiian Islands. This has been a Michael's Hawaii production.